Larry and I were very close. We were like one person. We made marriage look easy. We just had a lovely life together. About a week before May 27th, he had had a little heartburn for the first time. And he took over-the-counter stuff and it went away. But he said, I'm going to get an upper endoscopy because I'm in my final year before retirement and it's fix-up year. So he went in for the endoscopy. The doctor came out afterwards and he said, I found something and it's bad. Well, I felt like saying, you have the wrong room. You know, Larry's an airline pilot. He's never been sick, never. But as it turned out, Larry had stage 4 cancer in his esophagus, spread to his liver. It was 14 months to the day that Larry died. And he died on the only day befitting an airline captain, 7/27.
Jim and I knew what we wanted. We thought we'd stay here, just grow old together, sit in the swing on the porch, and maybe have a few horses for the girls to come by and just do more things together, because with the military, he was gone a lot on tours, and then flying for Delta, he was gone, but I always knew he was coming home. I never, ever worried about that. So I never thought that he wouldn't come home out of this either. They diagnosed him, he was just a little tired one day. And they said, you've got acute myeloid leukemia, and if you don't get treatment, you only have 4 to 6 weeks to live. Just boom, you know. So we were kind of both in shock. They exhausted all the treatments. So the doctors finally said, finally said I had to let him go, that there was nothing more they could do. And so I asked him if he wanted to come home, so we brought him home on hospice. And we made it another week.
When Larry died, things were not quite as I thought they would be. Larry wanted so badly to fight and to live that he didn't like at that time to speak about if he didn't make it, which made a lot of things more difficult.
Suddenly you're not a couple, you don't know exactly who you are at first, because you've been together almost 40 years. And when you're married that long, you're pretty much interwoven your thought patterns and, your feelings and everything. So when that part's yanked away, it's really hard.
I was at the point where I would be, putting my car keys in the refrigerator. I was just brain dead. And I had to rely on somebody else at that time.
So in the beginning, it's real important to have that person that understands if you just suddenly sit there and cry and can't make any sense at all. So they say, don't worry, we'll do it next week, or something, but they're there, and you have one person who really cares about how financially you're doing, that you're gonna have something to live on, and you're not gonna just be thrown out on the street suddenly.
It was so important when I finally got a financial company, because they thought like Larry. And that really eased my mind that somebody thought like Larry, because I didn't. And I needed that balance that I'd had all my life. Now, all of a sudden, there were financial decisions to make. There were phone calls to make.
Sometimes your mind is just so locked into grief that you can't relate, and you did it, but then you later said, did I take care of such and such? Did I do such and such? And that's when your counselor advisor can say, yes, we covered that, don't worry, and we don't have to do that till later, and we do this now, but don't make any other decisions for right at the beginning, Make your important ones a year later, maybe, when you're feeling better. And I think that was helpful, really helpful.
I was so grateful to have a financial company who would come out and sit down with me and literally help me make the calls and tell me, these are the ones you need to get to now, and these are the ones you don't have to worry about yet. I needed that.
When Jim suggested we do the financial planning and do the paperwork, it didn't sink in as a reality that I would need it anytime soon. I knew it was a necessity and we needed to do it, but I thought when he retires, and that was before he got sick, and just look how quick he got sick. And so I was glad that we had met with the planner and had set up a lot of the basics and had started that process. And I had a phone number and a name that I could reach out to?
If I could talk to people who were young and everything's going well, I would tell them, get your financial planners in place, listen to them, set up your wills, get it all set up in advance. And I would say, hold hands, because you just don't know when that hand will be taken away.
Men are so smart about a lot of things that us women are smart in other areas, and we mesh so well and we work so good as a team that you don't think that you're going to have to take the other whole load on. And when it hits you, it's heavy sometimes.
What happens when your leader is suddenly missing? You don't think about that. It's going to happen to some people. You don't know if it's you or not. But to be safe, why not get it all done ahead of time? Pick people you can trust. Get your will in place. It's a peace of mind that in the worst time of your life, and that was the worst time of my life, where I had to function, at least I had people to fall back on. I called them and said, you know, this scares me, this worries me, and they would comfort me and they would tell me what to do. I needed their brains.
The money coming in and going out is a big concern. If you don't know what's set aside or what you have, it's very scary until you can work it out with a planner maybe and kind of get a budget going. Losing Jim, we were very close. We did everything together pretty much, and just not having that half of you there was tough. It still is. Because we did so much together, everything from opera to antiquing to reading together, just sitting quietly together. We were content with that, you know, and we could just almost read each other's minds, and he'd bring me breakfast in bed, hot cup of tea, let me sleep in some mornings when he's home. I mean, he was just thoughtful and gentle and kind, and you miss that. I think I miss that when I make my tea in the morning. That was the hardest thing for me to do. Step by step, one little step at a time. That's all you can handle. So get out the tea bag, get the cup, the spoon, you know, and it sounds hard. I mean, it doesn't sound, but that's all you can do at that point. It's just survive, get up, survive, go to bed, get up, survive, go to bed for quite a while. And then you get past that a little bit better.
Larry and I were faith-filled people. We had strong faith. In fact, Larry and I often would non-rev together. And often there would only be one seat left, and it would be the jump seat. Well, I couldn't take that, but Larry could. So we had this deal where he said, okay, I'm going to get in the jump seat, and you come on the next flight, and I'll see you at the gate. Well, that's exactly where we are now. He took the jump seat. Being the perfectionist he was, he'd raised 3 faith-filled children and put them through college. He'd taken care of me for the future, and he pulled the ejector handles and cut out early, but he'll see me at the gate.